ठीक है, what are the topics for today? It is rheumatic fever and infective endocarditis. Okay, both very important short notes. All right, so what is rheumatic fever and rheumatic heart disease? This is your competency. You are supposed to know the etiology, pathophysiology, pathology, gross, microscopic features, criteria and complications of rheumatic fever. So what is rheumatic fever? Rheumatic fever is an acute immunologically mediated multi-system inflammatory disease classically occurring a few weeks after an episode of group A streptococcal pharyngitis. Occasionally it can occur even after skin infection. Now what is the meaning of acute rheumatic carditis? It is the acute manifestation of rheumatic fever, and when it becomes chronic it is called as rheumatic heart disease. Now rheumatic heart disease is characterized principally by the deformed fibrotic valvular disease specifically involving the mitral valve. Can you tell me where is the mitral valve located? So RHD is virtually the only cause of mitral stenosis for you guys. Okay, mitral stenosis का cause क्या होता है most commonly? Rheumatic heart disease, the chronic type. Now, what is the pathogenesis? Acute rheumatic fever results from the host immune response to group A streptococcal antigens that cross-react with host proteins. Which host proteins do you know of? मायोकार्डियम में प्रेजेंट होता है. M protein. Yeah. Okay. It cross reacts with host proteins. The antibodies and CD4 plus T cells directed against the streptococcal M proteins can also in some cases recognize cardiac self antigens. Okay. इसका क्या मतलब है? Did you understand anything by this? The antibodies that is produced in response to the streptococcal pharyngitis, they cross react with your heart's self antigens and it goes and destroys those in our own body. That is autoimmunity जैसा कुछ होता है उसमें, है ना? So it is immunologically mediated disease. All right. So what is the pathogenesis again? This is a flowchart showing you antibodies against M proteins of certain streptococcal strains will bind to the proteins of the myocardium and cardiac walls and cause injury by binding to them and subsequently causing the activation of these complements and causing cell destruction. They will recruit Fc receptor bearing cells like neutrophils and macrophages, and it will cause cytokine production by the stimulated cells leading to macrophage activation. Okay, so that will ultimately lead to damage to heart tissues which may be caused by combination of antibody and cell mediated immunity. Okay. Now what is the evidence supporting? How do we know that it is immune mediated? Why have we deduced that it is immune mediated? Because rheumatic fever occurs after 2 to 3 weeks of streptococcal pharyngitis, which shows us that it is because of an immune response, because immune response takes that much time to mount. Okay, streptococci are usually completely absent from these lesions and cultures are negative. The body has eradicated the streptococci that caused the pharyngitis, but it has gone and affected our heart. Antibodies against one or more streptococcal antigens like streptolysin O or DNase usually are elevated in the blood. Genetic susceptibility is suggested in the development of cross-reactivity. So what is the morphology? During acute rheumatic fever, focal inflammatory lesions are found in various tissues. What are the distinctive lesions that you should know of? Aschoff bodies. Aschoff bodies is an important question even in your NEET exam. Okay. What are Aschoff bodies? I'll show you now. It consists of T lymphocytes, occasional plasma cells, plump activated macrophages which are called as Anischkow cells, having abundant cytoplasm and central round nuclei in which the chromatin condenses into a slender wavy ribbon, and that's why they are called as caterpillar cells. Come, sit in front. That's why they are called as caterpillar cells. Okay, so now what is this? This is what are these? This is an H&E stain section. What is this that I'm pointing at? Myocardium, correct. Okay, and what is this collection in between? These are all collection of inflammatory cells, and this is called after Aschoff body. Okay, now these Aschoff bodies have got these caterpillar cells. Why are they called caterpillar cells? See, the chromatin has this lace-like quality, wavy quality, okay? That is why it is called as caterpillar cells also. Alright? So this is very important. This comes in your NEET as well. Now, in acute rheumatic fever, there is diffuse inflammation and Aschoff bodies may be found in any of the three layers of the heart. Pericarditis, it can cause pericarditis, myocarditis, endocarditis, or it can include all of them causing pancarditis. Now, inflammation of the endocardium and the left-sided heart will cause fibrinoid necrosis within the cusps and the tendinous cords. Okay, over these necrotic foci and along the line of closure, they are usually small 1 to 2 millimeter vegetations which are called as verrucae. Okay, RHD is also a form of vegetative valve disease. Infective endocarditis, you know, is a valve disease. Even RHD causes valve disease because it causes inflammation, and over that bacteria goes and deposits, causing those vegetations. Okay, thus disrupting the normal cardiac function. Now it can also cause pericarditis in the form of fibrinous pericarditis. Microscopically, what you will see the same inflammatory cells, lymphocytes, plasma cells, histiocytes, neutrophils, Aschoff bodies, necrosis and fibrosis in the pericardium. And myocarditis, I have already shown you, it is there in the interstitium of the myocardium. Now coming on to chronic rheumatic heart disease. 5-mark question, rheumatic heart disease. If it comes as rheumatic heart disease, you are supposed to write about chronic rheumatic heart disease, alright? So what is it characterized by? The organization of acute inflammation and subsequent scarring. Aschoff bodies जो होता है, that is replaced by fibrous scars, and they are rarely seen in chronic lesions. That's why I'm telling you, if they tell you about rheumatic heart disease, you are supposed to write about chronic lesions and not mention Aschoff bodies. And don't draw Aschoff bodies in that answer, okay? Aschoff bodies are completely replaced by fibrous tissue. Most characteristically, the valve cusps and the leaflets become permanently thickened and retracted. What are the cardinal changes that occur in the mitral valve? There is leaflet thickening. What do you mean by that? There will be also commissural fusion and shortening. I will show you the photographs. Thickening and fusion of the tendinous cords, calcification and fibrous bridging across the commissures, creating a fish mouth or buttonhole stenosis. Microscopic examination will show neovascularization and diffuse fibrosis that obliterates the normal leaflet function. Okay? So, I have already shown you this. What is this? Aschoff bodies. Okay? This is the gross picture. What is this? What is this? These are the valve leaflets. Okay? And what is this? Tendinous cords. Okay? So, these yellowish friable material you are seeing here, these are the vegetations. Alright? And when it becomes, this is acute phase where you can see the vegetation. Then after a while it converts into chronic rheumatic heart disease, right? So this is the fish mouth or buttonhole appearance of the mitral valve. What is the meaning of that? The commissures, these are the commissures that undergo fibrosis and fusion. So जो इतना खुलता था, because of the fusion, it has a fish mouth or a buttonhole appearance. Okay? And what is shown here, this is a picture from Robbins. So if you don't understand it, I'm trying to explain it to you word by word. Neovascularization, these vessels you can see, the thin vessels, this is the neovascularization that is seen in the valves after a while, and this is your aortic stenosis. How did I know that this is aortic valve? Because it's written. No? Think about it. Okay? Subendocardial lesions are exacerbated by the regurgitant jets, induce irregular thickenings called as McCallum plaques, usually in the left atrium. Now you can see these McCallum plaques in the left atrium. I don't have a photograph of that. Now, frequency of valve involvement in rheumatic heart disease, as I told you, mitral valve is the most commonly involved. It can be in isolation in 2/3 of the cases. Mitral valve with aortic valve also can be involved in 25% of the cases. Tricuspid valve on the right heart side is infrequently involved, and pulmonary valve is also infrequently involved. So what is the meaning of all these 4 sentences? The left side of the heart is most commonly involved in rheumatic heart disease. So what is the consequence of mitral stenosis? If you know the flow of blood, you will know what will it cause. Mitral valve stenosis हो जाएगा तो क्या होगा? Yeah, before that, left atrium will get dilated, है ना? Because of the dilation, there will be formation of thrombus. The thrombus can be thrown out into the circulation, causing emboli. Okay, long-standing, as you said, long-standing congestive changes in the lungs can happen, causing to pulmonary hypertension. And left ventricle is actually unaffected in pure mitral valve stenosis. Okay, so what are the clinical features? This you have to write if you have the question as rheumatic fever. Okay, what are the clinical features? Fever. It most commonly occurs in children between 5 to 15 years of age, causing carditis, pericardial friction rubs and arrhythmias. It can cause myocarditis, leading to cardiac dilatation and resultant mitral regurgitation and chronic heart failure. In adults, 20% of the cases, there can be migratory polyarthritis. Symptoms in all age groups typically begin 2 to 3 weeks after the streptococcal infection, and mortality is less than 1%. Now, what are the extracardiac lesions that you should know of? The first one is migratory polyarthralgia. One large joint after another becomes painful and swollen for a period of days, followed by spontaneous resolution with no residual disability. इसका क्या मतलब है? एक के बाद एक different joints are involved, and then they regress, and then they do not leave any deformity as well. What is subcutaneous nodules? This is also seen in this. It's more common in adults. They are small, painless lesions attached to deeper structures of the subcutaneous tissue like the tendon and the fascia, but they remain unnoticed by the patient most of the time, and characteristic locations are extensor surfaces of the wrist, elbow, ankles and knees. Microscopically, what do we see? If we do a biopsy of this, we will see Aschoff bodies like in the heart. Erythema marginatum. Non-pruritic, these are non-pruritic erythematous rash on the trunk and proximal parts of extremities. Again, this is transient and migratory. What is this? Syndrome's chorea. It's also called as St. Vitus dance. It is because of the involvement of the CNS. It occurs most commonly in younger age groups, especially girls. What is it characterized by? Involuntary, rapid, purposeless movements. Okay? And it can also cause rheumatic pneumonitis and pleuritis. So what is the criteria? The diagnostic major criteria for rheumatic heart disease is migratory polyarthritis of large joints, pancarditis, subcutaneous nodules, erythema marginatum of the skin, and So what is the diagnosis established by the Jones criteria? Now, evidence of preceding group A streptococcal infection like serum titers of antibodies against one or more streptococcal antigens like streptolysin O or DNS are usually elevated, okay, in conjunction with the presence of two of the major manifestations or one major and two minor manifestations. Like, what are the minor manifestations? Fever, arthralgia, elevated acute phase reactants like raised ESR, CRP and leukocytosis. So, this is your major criteria and these are your minor criteria. So, when will you diagnose it as rheumatic heart disease is when there are presence of two major or one major and two minor. Okay, this is the Jones criteria. So, clinical manifestations of rheumatic heart disease appears years later after the initial episode of rheumatic fever. If this patient comes to you in the clinic, they will not remember when they had pharyngitis. They will not remember anything. They will not have any recollection of it. And when we do the investigations, and only then we'll realize कि इसको बहुत पहले हुआ होगा streptococcal pharyngitis. It presents as common cold and flu. All right. So, what are the signs and symptoms of valvular disease? It depends on the cardiac valve that is involved. You can have murmurs, arrhythmias, cardiac hypertrophy, dilatations and congestive heart failure. Surgical intervention of damaged valves have improved the prognosis of this disease. What are the causes of death? Cardiac failure, bacterial endocarditis, embolism and sudden death because of thrombus in the left atrium that moves on and causes a large embolus. Now coming to the next topic, infective endocarditis. इसमें भी बहुत सारे नीट क्वेश्चंस हैं, इसमें भी ये भी तुम्हारा 5 मार्क का क्वेश्चन हो सकता है. Okay. So what is infective endocarditis? It is a microbial infection of the heart valves or the mural endocarditis that leads to the formation of vegetations which are composed of thrombotic debris and organisms often associated with destruction of the underlying cardiac tissue. Most infections are bacterial, इसलिए पहले इसको bacterial infective endocarditis भी बोलते थे. But it can also be caused by fungi and other microorganisms. That's why अब सिर्फ इसको infective endocarditis बोलते हैं. Now what is the classification? Acute infective endocarditis. These are destructive infections frequently involving a highly virulent organism. ये important है, आगे पता चलेगा. Subacute जो होता है उसमें organisms are of low virulence. Okay. Acute infective endocarditis are caused by high virulence organisms like Staph aureus, which attacks a previously normal valve. Okay. And what is the difference from subacute and acute? Subacute mein again the bacteria are of low virulence and they affect previously abnormal valves. Acute mein it affects normal valves, high virulent organisms. Subacute mein it is low virulent organisms and abnormal valves. Okay. So what is the incidence? Because of the use of antibiotics, many of them have reduced in incidence. It can occur at any age, more common in the age group of more than 50. Males are affected more than females. What is the pathogenesis? It is caused by infection of a microorganism, as we all have just read. Acute bacterial endocarditis is caused by, for you, Staphylococcus aureus. Remember only this, Staphylococcus aureus. Others can be pneumococci, gonococci, beta streptococci and enterococci. Subacute is caused by low virulent organism and you should remember streptococci viridans in this. Okay, पिछला वाला क्या था? Acute, Staph aureus, subacute, Streptococcus viridans. Okay. In about 10% of the cases, you will not see any organism will not be isolated. मतलब culture will be negative. It can be because of widespread antibiotic therapy जो आज हो जाता है, आजकल फीवर होते ही एंटीबायोटिक दे दिया जाता है, उसकी वजह से previous antibiotic therapy, difficulty in isolating the offending agent, or because of a deeply embedded organism within the enlarging vegetation. What are the predisposing factors? Conditions that initiate transient bacteremia or septicemia and pyemia like a dental or a surgical procedure, contaminated needles shared by IV drug users, trivial breaks in the epithelial barriers in the gut, oral cavity or skin, underlying heart disease valve abnormalities, impaired host defenses like in cases of neutropenia and immunodeficiency, presence of diabetes. Diabetes is a state of immunodeficiency, and alcohol intake. Underlying heart diseases that predisposes to endocarditis are rheumatic heart disease, we have been discussing about it, prostatic heart valves, and at the site of, please, don't disrupt my class, please. At the site of pacemaker lines, indwelling vascular catheters, endocardium can get damaged by the flow jets stemming from any previously pre-existing cardiac disease. What is the morphology? The most important thing in infective endocarditis is this vegetations on the heart valves. Okay, they are the classic hallmarks. What do these vegetations look like? They are friable, bulky, destructive lesions that contain fibrin, inflammatory cells and bacteria. Okay, what are these vegetations? I'm repeating, it's important. Okay, these are friable, bulky, destructive lesions which contain fibrin, inflammatory cells and bacteria. Most commonly involved is aortic and mitral valves. Again, we have been speaking about this. Today's class affects the left side of the heart. Okay, most commonly. Vegetations can be single or multiple, and more than one valve can be involved. These vegetations are, what are these? Inflammatory cells. Inflammatory cells will produce cytokines and all that will cause destruction of the underlying myocardium, the valves, everything. Okay. Another thing that is dangerous, what can happen is these vegetations can embolize and they can produce abscesses wherever they lodge. If they lodge in the pulmonary artery, it will cause an abscess there. Just imagine the catastrophe that can happen later. Okay, because of that there will be development of septic infarct and aneurysm resulting from the bacterial infection, leading to the entity that we have already discussed, mycotic aneurysms. What are aneurysms? What dilatation? Abnormal dilatation. Thank you. So vegetations of, sorry, there is a typo error. Vegetations of subacute bacterial endocarditis are less destructive. We know it is caused by bacteria of low virulence, so it is less destructive and it is associated with less valvular destruction also. What does the microscopically, what does it look like? These vegetations show granulation tissue at their basis, indicative of healing. With time, fibrosis, calcification and chronic inflammatory infiltrates can develop. What are the clinical features? Rapidly developing fever, chills, weakness. This is not present in elderly. Non-specific features in subacute bacterial endocarditis is fatigue, loss of weight, flu-like syndrome and splenomegaly. Murmurs in 90% either from a new defect or from a pre-existing abnormality. Murmurs are the only thing when you do a clinical examination, you will be for sure कि हाँ heart affected है. Fever, chills, weakness, flu-like syndromes are seen in other conditions also. When you put your stethoscope on the chest and if you can hear any murmur, you should always think of heart problems and probably infective endocarditis if it's a new murmur. In those who are not treated promptly, microemboli are formed which can give rise to petechiae, nail bed splinter hemorrhages, retinal hemorrhages like the Roth spots, painless palm or sole erythematous lesions known as Janeway lesions, and painful fingertip nodules known as Osler's nodules, Osler's nodes. Now, all these names that you are seeing here, these are also your NEET questions. Okay, all these names that you are seeing, these are all buzzwords used in your NEET exam, all right? So what is the diagnostic criteria of infective endocarditis? There is a pathological criteria and there is a clinical criteria, major and minor. Now, what is the pathological criteria? We should be able to isolate microorganisms by culture or by histological examination in the vegetation, embolus, or in the intracardiac abscess. Histological confirmation of acute endocarditis in the vegetation or the intracardiac abscess is important. Now, what is the major clinical criteria? You should have blood culture should be positive for one of those organisms that we have spoken about. Okay. Endocardiographic identification of a valve-related mass or an abscess or a new valvular regurgitation. What are the minor clinical criteria? They can, because it can be predisposing heart lesion or IV drug use, fever, vascular lesion including arterial petechiae, subungual hemorrhage, emboli, septic infarct, intracranial hemorrhage, immunological phenomenon like glomerulonephritis, Osler's nodes, Roth spots, rheumatoid factor present in the blood, echocardiographic findings consistent but not diagnostic of endocarditis, including worsening or changing of pre-existing murmur. What are the complications? Cardiac complications is valvular stenosis or insufficiency, perforation, rupture, aneurysm of the valve leaflets, abscess in the valve ring, myocardial abscess, suppurative pericarditis, and cardiac failure. Now, what are the differences between these two? Rheumatic and bacterial endocarditis both affect left side of the heart. This is not a difference. Okay. Where do you see the vegetations in rheumatic? Along the line of closure at the atrial surface of AV valve and ventricular surface of semilunar valves. Here, subacute ones will affect already affected valves which have been either affected by rheumatic heart disease, and acute will affect the normal heart valves. Location is the same. It is along the line of closure. Alright. So, the only difference between rheumatic and bacterial is the vegetations in rheumatic heart disease will be small, multiple, warty, firmly attached vegetations producing permanent valvular deformity. Here, bacterial is large, irregular, single or multiple friable vegetations that are prone to emboli. Here, rheumatic vegetations are composed of fibrin, platelet, thrombi, mononuclear infiltrates and Aschoff bodies. Here, what do you see? You see outer zone of fibrin, platelet covered colonies of bacteria, acute and chronic inflammation. Okay? Major difference? What is it? Vegetations के size में, friability में and composition में. यहाँ पे fibrin है, platelet है, chronic inflammatory cells है, उस तरफ acute inflammatory cells हैं. With bacterial colonies, it's there in the name. Okay. Extracardiac complications, we have already spoken about it. Emboli from the left side of the heart entering the systemic circulation. Emboli from the right side of the heart causing pulmonary abscess. Focal necrotizing glomerulonephritis that can occur in subacute. Now, what are Osler's nodes? Osler's nodes are painful, tender nodules on the fingertips of the hands and feet. Okay. See the diagrams in Google. Okay. Go and see how it looks. Janeway spots are painless, non-tender, subcutaneous maculopapular lesions on the pulp of the fingers. They are very similar. Go and see it on Google. You will get to know. I don't have the pictures.